Okay, this is going to be a quick review of Gemara Tamid from the top, which we know the top Tamid starts in Chav Ham and Beis. This is going to be a review of the first blot and a half. Says the Mishnah B'Shleisha Mekaymais. In three places. What? Hopefully by now we know this. HaKahanim Hashem Beis HaMikdash. What are the name of the three places? The name of the three places are Beis Avtinas, Beis HaNitzites, and Beis HaMoikad. The Mishnah now tells us the differences between these three places. Beis Avtinas, Beis HaNitzites were what? Hayu Aliyos. Which already we know for the Gemara what type of Aliyos they were. And who was there? The Rav and the young Kahanim Shemim Sham. The Beis HaMoikad was kippah as a dome roof. It was a bayis called it was a large room. Mukav Raven Shalavin surrounded the rows of stone, and Siknim Beisav Yeshinim Sham on the rows of stone. Maftechos Hazar Biyadim with keys of the Hazar in their hand. Perchei Kunas left to wear Ish Ksisa Ba'aretz, each one with their clothing on the ground. Lo Yeshenim, and the Mishnah concludes part A that they did not sleep a big day Kodesh. Alapaisha, they took off their big day Kodesh. End of part A, the three places that they were Shemer the Beis HaMikdash, and the differences between the places. Part B of the Mishnah is what happens if a kohen wakes up and he's tamei. He leaves the Beis HaMikdash, and where does he go? He goes to the ground. As we turn off the Chavav and Half. He goes to the tunnel. Onto the Beis HaMikdash. The beer is the Beis HaMikdash. And what was in this tunnel? There is Tolkos Mikan and Lakan, candles in either side. Until he reaches Beis HaTfilah. Umadura Isasham. There was a big fire in the Beis HaTfilah. What else was in the Beis HaTfilah? Beis HaKisei Shel Kavod. What was the honor? Zaliyah Kavaydai. Matzah, if the door was closed. Yedei Shei Shamadim. You know someone's in the bathroom. Patuach, if the door is open. Miduach, Ein Shamadim. Yarad, he went down into the mikvah. Tavel, he will use the mikvah. He went up in his tabik. He dried himself off in his chamik nekin amdura. And he warmed himself by the fire. But he comes back. And he sits next to his brothers, the Kehanim. He does not leave in the middle of the night. Number one, not to embarrass him. Number two, because the gates are locked. He waits in the Beis HaMoikad with other Kayanim on until Shayisharim Niftachim, till the gates open up in the morning. Yatza v'halach loy. End of part 2 in the Mishnah. Part 3 of the Mishnah, Trumas Hadashen. Mishu writes a Litrum Mizbeach. Whoever wants to be involved in the Trumas Hadashen, which is a separation of ash, the beginning, preparing the Mizbeach for the Avaida. What does he have to do? Says the Mishnah 10 lines down. Mashke v'tayvel, he goes into the mikvah. Actually, we got to know that name in Maina. That's the kohen in charge of things. Maina says the Mishnah, what time in the morning did the Maina come? Luckily, Tim Shabbos wasn't always equal. Sometimes he came when the rooster crowed near it, before or afterwards. And what would happen? The Maina would come, he would knock on the door. They would open the door for him. The Mamayna would say, Misha Tavu, whoever went to the mikvah Yavav V'Fayis, let him come and be involved in the lottery. Payis is a lottery. He basically did a lottery. Misha Zachalai. 3 parts of the Mishnah, 3 places that they were Shemer. What happens if a kohen becomes Tameh? And who gets involved in the Trumas Hadeshin? We continue with the Gemara. Says the Gemara, going back to part A of the Mishnah, which are 3 places that they were Shemer in the Beis HaMikdash. Menah and Emili, where do we know that they were Shemer in 3 places? And as we know already, we're going to have 2 terutzim. Amar Abaye, Amar Kra. We start with the pasuk. Says the pasuk, "V'achadim they mishkan, they encamped. Came of the Elmayin Mizracha. Who encamped? Seemingly, Moshe Arnubanim Shemim Shveres Hamikdash Shveres Bnei Yisrael. So we see in the pasuk that we have Moshe, Levi, Arnubanim the Kehanim, and what are they all doing? They are Shemer the Beis HaMikdash. Answers the Gemara, Amri, very good. In Shimur Baal Mashkechan Debai. You found that there's a makar that they watch Beis HaMikdash. However, the Mishnah in Midai says there were 3 places the Kehanim watched. Valavim watched where? In 21 places. Vilu Quran, what do we see in the pasuk you just quoted? Moshe the Levi, Arnu, one of the Kehanim seemingly are all guarding together. So Amri, they answered, Achikam. This is how you have to read the pasuk. Break the pasuk in half, and this is makar number 1 for the 3 places that they're shoving the Beis HaMikdash. They camped Moshe v'Hadar. Then the pasuk continues. Aaron's children watched the Beis HaMikdash. Aaron is b'chad makom u'banav b'shnei makaymis. And the Gemara proves that this is what the pasuk must be teaching us. Mimai, where do we see this in the pasuk? Midachsev v'hachaynim it starts. Uksiv shaymrim. From there we see chaynim l'chad v'shaymrim l'chad. So Moshe is chaynim is encamped. Aaron u'banav is shaymrim. Says Gemara, 1 second. Maybe Aaron, Ubanav, all three of them are in one place. So how do you see three places? Lo Sagodei Techman Moshe B'Chad Makom L'Chudei. Have Aaron Ubanav B'Chad Makom L'Chudei. Says the Gemara Makar number 1 of Abaye. We see from the pasuk that Moshe is in one place. V'Achayim Aaron Ubanav, 3 people are in another place, each one unto themselves, and they are Shaimrim. The Makar for 3 places to be Shaimrim the Beis Hamikdash. Rav Ashi Amar, the same pasuk, but a different application of the pasuk. Misefer Dikra, the end of the pasuk that says Shaimrim Mishmeres of Mishmeres. 3 times the word Shmira, alluding to the 3 places. The Kehanim are Shaimer, the Beis Hamikdash. 2 Mekairais for the first din of the Mishnah. The din of the Mishnah being that the Kehanim are Shaimer, the Beis Hamikdash, in 3 places. We turn over to Chavavim Beis, and this is the last Amud of our 3 Amud Chazara. We turn over, and now we go to the next part of the Mishnah, which were the 3 places, Beis Avtinas, Beis Hanitzas, and Beis HaMoikad. And we learned about the Beis Avtinas and the Beis Hanitzas, that they were special in the fact that they were elevated. But the shayla that the Gemara has on the top line is, were they actual aliyos, meaning that there was something underneath them, or were they like aliyos, like an elevated porch? Tashema proves the Gemara that tonight we learned in the Mishnah of Safain. In the north was the Shar Nitzas Kiminach Saja Hayo. It was an elevated area of Aliyah B'nui Al Gaba. And what was going on over there? Shakoyhanim Shemim Malav Alviyim Mata. Upesach Hayo Loy Lechel. So we have the Kahanim on top, Levi on the bottom. Thereby the Gemara proving that clearly it was a real 2-floored areas. It was Aliyah Mamish. The fact that what? You had Kohanim on one part, Leviim on another part. Both areas being utilized. Says the Gemara, okay, Minanim Ili. What's the Mikar that Kohanim and Leviim guard together? The Tanu Rabbanim learned in a Pasik. Pasik number 1, Psukim in Bamidbar. The Psukim are talking about Achecha Mata Levi, that you, the Kohanim and Leviim, are going to do something together. So says the Gemara, you're telling me avodas cha because of medaber. Are you now avodas sam in their avodah? So these two psukim talking about Kohanim and Leviim doing something together. So one is going to be talking about the Leviim's avodah, Kohanim helping the Leviim in their shira, and they're opening the gates and what the Leviim have to do. And Hamani Makayim, what are we going to utilize? The first pasuk that says, you love that v'shar sucha. That pasuk has to clearly be talking about the avodah of the kayin. Which part of the avodah of the kayin do Leviim get involved? Ha-keitzad kayanim shavim mamalav Leviim lamata. That is a makar that the Kohanim and Leviim are going to guard together. 14 lines down to the 2 dots. Beis HaMoikad kipa be'ayis gadol haya. Asks the Gemara for the Mishnah. It sounds like the Beis HaMoikad has 1 shaymer. Says the Gemara, Chad Shaimer Udahave Beis HaMoikad V'Remini. I'll ask you a stira. Shnei Shaimer Beis HaMoikad. There were 2 gates. Echad B'suach L'Chava, Echad B'suach L'Azara. Open up on either side. And Omer Rav Yehuda, on the one that was open into the Azara, possession L'Chas L'Azara. Guess what? Pishvish Katan Ayalait at a small door. Shavai Nechlas L'Vlushe Azara. That they went through that door L'Balushe to inspect the Azara. So asks the Gemara, why was there only 1 shaymer? There were 2 doors. If there were 2 doors coming out, there should have 2 shaymrim. Amar Abaye, answers Abaye, the doors are right next door to each other. 1 shaymer suffices, as you can look both ways. We conclude, as the Gemara teaches us 10 lines to the bottom, that the Beis HaMoikad was a large house, and Mukav Reivdin Shalevin, who's surrounded with rows of stone that the elderly Kohanim slept on. Asks the Gemara, Reivdin, I knew, what does it mean, Reivdin? Explains the Gemara, it's Tavasa. Stadium seating of 1 row of stones with another row of stones on top of it. Ask the Gemara, how can you do that? It would seem like you have a large row, and then a narrow row, and then a narrow row. You let it cut stones in the Beis Hamikdash. The pasuk says, it has to be complete stones. Amar Abaye explains Abaye they cut them, they brought them into the Beis Hamikdash originally after the Zrat of Avnei Ravasa. Large stones and small stones. So in the Beis Hamikdash itself, you couldn't cut it. But they cut it outside the Beis Hamikdash and they brought them in, larger and small stones. And finally, the Ziknei Beis Av that were sleeping on these rows of stones, Yishenim Sham, Wonders the Gemara, 4 lines to the bottom. Why do they just bring in beds? Why do they have to sleep on the stone? It's inappropriate to bring the bed into the Beis Hamikdash. Let's try to keep up the Chazara. We're 1/8 B'siyata Dishmaya, hopefully, in the middle of being kaina in the palms, Shaklavatario, reading the Gemara, an 1/8 in to Meseches Tamid.